Testing. 1, 2. Can you hear me? Wait. Hello? Is this on? Am I audible? Hold on. How about now? This is the Above It All program, folks. It's a program that we're doing here today. And, it's a program. It's a show. And I do this show on a bi-weekly basis. No, I'm just kidding. I just was doing some stuff last week. I did not do a program, but I'm doing one this week. And that's good. That's good news for people that watch this. Yeah, isn't that great? Isn't that just wonderful? Love good news. All right, so doing a show today. Let me just drink some coffee real quick. Check this out. Look at this guy. What's he doing? Anyway, this is the Above It All show. This is a show where I talk about news, I guess. That's what I think it is. Maybe I should do one of those surveys, Maybe I should do one of those surveys. What is this show? Get some viewer input. But this is a news show. I'm talking about the news today. We're going to be talking about... I just glanced over. Whew, yikes. Can we go home early today? Come on. But, I consider myself to be a little bit controversial sometimes. I often get myself in trouble for things that I say. And I'd like to continue that trend by starting off talking about really, really, really stupid motherfuckers, okay? Now, when it comes to left-wing politics, there's a lot of sacred cows that you're just never allowed to talk about. You're not allowed to talk about people's food choices. Can't do it. Not allowed to talk about religion. Can't do it. It's not inclusive, You got to be inclusive of people that believe that God is a magical fairy in the sky watching over them. Yeah, that's right. If you believe Trump is a magical fairy in the sky, no, you're an enemy. But if you believe it's some random fucking douchebag in some book in the Middle East, all of a sudden, Right, so you're not allowed to talk about that. You're also not allowed to talk about parents, especially single parents, because single parents can never do anything wrong. They're victims, them deciding to have children when they weren't ready. That's, I'm talking about parents and single parents here, obviously. That's obviously people on the left we don't have any view of autonomy over certain groups. Like parents, there's no autonomy, right? Them deciding to have a kid before they could actually take care of the kid. Sorry, that's all society's fault, right? And another sacred cow on left-wing shows are teachers. You're never allowed to talk about how fucking teachers are fucking stupid. You just can't. You're not allowed, So, but I'm going to do it anyway. So there's a I don't really know what this is. I guess it's a study or a poll of something in the UK. I'm pretty sure this one is the UK. Yeah. All right. And now, again, I'm not, trying to sit here and shit on teachers, but, when I see shit like this, it's kind of hard not to. Thousands of teachers reveal, quote, deep problems in classrooms 4 years on from school lockdown. Now, the reason why I put parents and teachers in the same category is because these are the authority figures. These are the tyrants for young people. Parents and teachers create the world to which young people live in for the rest of their lives. What do I mean by that? Well, when you're a child, you do not have the life experience to make an objective take on the world around you. You just don't. And when I say child, I'm talking about 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old, right? Even upwards of 15, even 20 years old. Like, if you have not left your hometown, you know, for the first 20 years of your life, if you all you know about the world is from authority figures around you, what your teachers taught you, God forbid you went to college, what they're teaching you, what your parents teaching you. Now, again, the internet throws a wrench in that because people can experience a lot of what the world is saying and doing via the internet. But of course, looking at a TikTok video of what's going on in Gaza doesn't actually really necessarily make you know what it's like going on in Gaza, right? So, and teachers and parents oftentimes do not use this to their advantage. You know, they don't say, oh, well, I'm the sole, well, I guess in this instance, parents and teachers, no one's the sole, but it's like a balancing act. Like, we're teaching our kids about the world, and this is an important job, right? Now, you see right-wingers talk about this, where it's like, oh, the teachers are indoctrinating the kids about LGBTQ or whatever the fuck. You know, that's what I'm talking. These are the people that are shaping their children's worldviews to become transphobic bigots, which in my opinion is child abuse. Because that child is going to grow up in a world where transgender people are totally cool and totally normal, but they think that trans people are trying to, like, kill them and their family, right? That is ill-equipping your child in the same way that if you taught your child 2 + 2 = 26, okay? You are putting your child at a disadvantage for no other reason than you're abusing your power in that relationship and dynamic, right? So I consider miseducation to be child abuse. Now, we can have a long conversation about child abuse at another point, but this all crescendos into the fact that teachers, again, one of the sole, one of the two, I should say. I should stop saying the word soul, but I just woke up. One of the two groups that are almost solely responsible for what a child understands and perceives about the world. Now, again, with the internet, like, teenagers, especially, are more likely to have a more well-rounded opinion and understanding of the world around them. But again, we're talking about 8-year-olds, we're talking about 7-year-olds. These motherfuckers have no idea what's going on. Let's be honest. Did you have any idea what the fuck's going on when you were 8? No. Okay. So, look at this. Nearly 90% of teachers, now this is in the UK, believe emotional and social delay they are seeing in classrooms is related to lockdown and remote learning. So this is obviously not true, right? So if you were to say 90% of teachers believe the earth is flat and that humans have not done anything whatsoever in relation to climate change, wouldn't that cause you concern? Well, this is 90% of teachers saying germs aren't real. They have nothing to do with it. It was a couple weeks of learning on your computer 4 fucking years ago. It's not the repeated sickness. It's not the teacher shortages because of repeated sickness. It's not repeated absenteeism because of repeated sickness. It's not that, the well-documented virus that destroys your brain. Again, there have been teenagers in the United States that have been diagnosed with dementia under the age of 20 years old because of repeated COVID infection. None of that has anything to do with it. It's a lockdown. Right? So when 90% of teachers in the UK literally don't believe in germs, which is an equivalent conspiracy to believing the earth is flat, or an equivalent conspiracy to believing that the human, fossil fuel addiction has no impact on climate change, right? They don't believe in germs. 90% of teachers don't believe in germs. Now, you may say, okay, I'm being unfair. It's not that they said straight up 90% of teachers don't believe in COVID, right? But, again, learn to read is my response to that. Because if you believe in germs, right, you would very obviously understand that the virus that has been well documented to cause cognitive delay, cognitive destruction in adults, right, is also been documented to cause cognitive destruction in children. But again, children, while their brains are developing, are going to be affected differently than someone who's 35 and their brain is already theoretically fully developed, getting holes in their brain, right? So if you understand germs are real, you keep up with what COVID is doing, you know, obviously lockdown and remote learning had nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it, right? And I raise you this. If remote learning and lockdowns had something to do with children's test scores being in the gutter, why is it the same thing in the United States, where we didn't have lockdowns and remote learning for an extended period of time? Most states in the United States didn't do that. A lot of states only did remote learning for a couple weeks. So, right now, again, I understand the UK did have longer stay-at-home orders. Lockdowns is not true. You do not get arrested for opening up your door. Therefore, it is not a lockdown, okay? Stay-at-home quarantine orders, right? And I know that the UK had longer sessions compared to the United States for remote learning. That said, again, all around the world, children are getting stupider and stupider and stupider. Now, I also would suggest that children being stupider is not necessarily caused purely by cognitive destruction of the brain based on COVID, but also the fact that their teachers are fucking stupid. Now, again, COVID makes you stupider. It's documented, right? Not only does it reduce your ability to make short-term judgments. By the way, what's the most important thing to know how to do when you're driving a car? Short-term decision-making, right? It slows down your ability to, like, you know, imagine you're thinking about a complex issue, right? Now, imagine you're trying to reach a solution on a complex issue. You know, I'm not going to illustrate the entire complex issue, but let's say you're figuring out something to do with a family emergency, how you're going to get the money to pay for something, right? And you figure out where the sources of money is going to be in 45 minutes, right? Now, if you've been infected with COVID a lot, right, it may take you an hour and a half to come up with that same exact solution, right? And one of the ways that this occurs is, you're thinking about something and then all of a sudden you realize, like, oh, wait, have you ever been really high on drugs, right? Because that's a lot of what is very similar as to what having cognitive damage from COVID can do. Is it makes it harder to, like, stay put on, like, a structure in your mind and stuff like that. So it makes thinking about things harder. So I would say children are facing a delay in their abilities because of getting repeatedly infected with a virus that has been well documented to delay their abilities, but also because teachers are fucking stupid and they're not teaching them fucking shit at all because they're all fucking dumb, okay? So when the only authority figures in your lives that are supposed to be educating you, theoretically, your parents aren't necessarily, their job is not necessarily to educate you as far as society seems to be concerned, but they really should be, but that's a whole separate conversation, right? So when the people educating the populace, the young people, are fucking stupid, they're fucking dumb, they're Neanderthals, they have a negative 17 IQ, when that's the case, I mean, like, again, I'm just saying, the kids are not all right. They're getting fucked from both ends here. I guess I shouldn't say that. But let's keep going. 80% of teachers said they have seen disadvantaged pupils fall behind their peers as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay. Right. But so 90% say it's lockdowns that did it. 80% say it's post-pandemic, people are dumber. I guess post the start of the pandemic necessarily is what it kind of implies here. So that means there's 10% of people that believe that lockdowns had everything to do with it, right? But that the pandemic had nothing to do with it. But the lockdowns were as a result of the pandemic. So 10% of people are just so fucking stupid that they just said the exact opposite thing. So I like, now again, 10% isn't the largest number in the world, but it's 10% of teachers directly contradicted themselves immediately in a row, right? Now, and those teachers are going to go to school and teach your kids, right? So again, dumb motherfuckers. 78% of head teachers, which I guess is a position in the UK I'm not terribly familiar with, believe the UK government needs to invest in more COVID catch-up funding for pupils beyond the $5 billion already pledged. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know the ins and outs of the budgets when it comes to COVID spending in the United Kingdom. But what the fuck does that mean? Like, are they gonna go to school for summer one semester? Like, I'm just like, what does that mean? I'm serious. I don't know what it means. Only 5% of teachers believe the current money for educational recovery has been effective. So again, I need people. I know some motherfuckers out there are like, oh, this bitch is overreacting. But I really, this is not a good sign for the future of the world. It really isn't. When the people in charge of shaping the worldview of youngsters do not believe in the germ theory of disease in the same way as it caused us to get here when the older generations of youngsters did not believe that climate change was caused by human activity. Imagine if everyone unanimously agreed in the 1970s and 80s that human-caused climate change was a problem, right? And then everyone agreed with that and recognized that as fact, and then they taught their kids that, and then they taught their kids that, and then their kids got into positions of power, and then boom, the fossil fuel industry has been defeated. But obviously that's not the case, right? Because guess what? These motherfuckers were fucking stupid, and they taught their kids that climate change, well, the climate changes all the time, I don't really know what you're talking about here, human activity. Human ain't God, we can't make the climate move. So now we have a whole generation of dumb motherfuckers that had their worldview and their understanding of the universe shaped by dumb motherfuckers, and they're going to go ahead and do the same thing to their kids because they're all fucking dumb motherfuckers. Do you see the problem here? Right? And again, teachers are theoretically our intervention location, right? Because parents are all kinds of different fucked up in the head kind of shit, right? So teachers are theoretically where we should be going to get some sort of coherent, cogent kind of response here to what parents are teaching your kids, right? Jesus fucking Christ. I always fucking, whenever I tap on my goddamn desk, it all comes tumbling down. Shit. One of these days, I will buy a new camera stand. I've used the same camera stand the entirety of this show's run. I just want you all to understand it's broken, so it falls down sometimes. But, okay, so hear me out. Teachers that shape the worldview of children are all fucking stupid. Parents that shape the worldviews of children are all fucking stupid. So, now again, I mentioned this earlier. The internet, right? This is the third kind of thing. The internet was, the closest analog beforehand was libraries, right? So yes, theoretically, kids did have access to relatively objective information, relatively, obviously, compared to the indoctrination of the household, the cult of the family, as I like to call it, and the cult of the society, also known as schooling. Theoretically, you could have access to objective information in a library, right? But the internet is a way more egalitarian kind of form of that. Now, one of the problems with the internet is basically owned by corporations, right? And these corporations also are owned by billionaires that also spend billions of dollars shaping the narrative of what people discuss online. That's why you see people talk about let's switch here. Let's do a little bit of a switcheroo. Check this one out. So there's this big fucking thing going on. Planet Fitness value plummets $400 million after transgender turmoil. Now, $400 million, also known as 6%, 7% or so. And, they take the number that seems a lot bigger. And so what happened here, right? Oh, a trans person went to Planet Fitness and now, all of a sudden, they're the target of a massive social media campaign that's going to be repeated in all sorts of mainstream press, right? So let's go back to this one because I do have to shit on teachers a little bit more, right? So the internet is owned and controlled, the narrative is owned and controlled by billionaires. Now, again, can you actually sift through the internet and find shows like this one? Yes, that's right. I'm calling myself a little bit of an antidote to the billionaire-owned narrative, right? Can you find those? Yes. How easy it is to find a show like this. Not that easy, right? So they're banking on that. So teachers, fucking stupid, right? Parents, typically, for the most part, fucking stupid. And the internet, let's be honest here, fucking stupid, okay? For the most part. That's why you see a lot of kids who, again, young men, for example, they fall into this fucking manosphere. Woo! because their parents are fucking stupid. Their teachers are fucking stupid. They're looking for someone to tell them about the world. And then they find someone like Andrew Tate, who is even dumber than the parents and the teachers, right? And then it's a recipe for disaster, right? And so, let's just read this article here. So let's just read some more of these details. Money to help children catch up in school following the COVID-19 pandemic. I gotta get a new camera stand. I didn't even do anything that time. Okay. Oh, fuck. Jesus. Lord, please. Where is my Lord? Okay. Just kidding. There is no Lord. Money to help children catch up in school following. Now, again, this is a big deal. Like, okay, money. What are you going to spend it on? Like, again, like I said earlier, are you going to spend it on, like, a fucking semester in summer? Like, everyone going to go to summer school to catch up or something? Or, like, what is this money going to be spent on? I'm trying to fucking fix this goddamn camera stand. This is... It may have actually broken to a degree. But anyway, so... Okay, they're asking for money. Now, again, we know already, I've already pointed out that teachers in the UK, 90% of them are the equivalent of flat earthers. They don't believe in germs, right? So you're going to ask these people that don't believe in germs, you're going to ask these motherfuckers, like, oh, where would you spend the money? Right? You know what I mean? No, I'm sure that oh my fucking God. This is frustrating. It's just so frustrating right now. Okay. Jesus, fuck. I don't know how to explain. Just... Okay. Money to help children catch up in school following the COVID-19 pandemic is not making a difference, with signs of emotional and social delay in the classroom. Now, again, I've already explained why there's social and emotional delay in the classroom. So they're going to ask for more money. And again, what are they going to spend that money on? Are they going to spend that money on acknowledging that germs are real so that they can actually combat the problem? No! Of course fucking not, because 90% of them don't believe in germs. 4 years on from the shutdown of schools, March 2020, in England, 80% of teachers surveyed said they had seen an increase in the attainment gap as a result of the lockdown. Now, again, as a result of the lockdown, not a result of COVID. You know, the virus that fucking destroys your brain and gives teenagers dementia has nothing to do with it. It's the lockdown 4 years ago. Now, you may not know this, but there are third graders, second graders, whatever the equivalent is in the UK, they were not in school during lockdown, and they're still fucking stupid. Now, I shouldn't be too mean to them. They're developmentally slower than the baseline from 10 years ago, okay? I know, I'm a little mean sometimes, and it's not their fault. That's the thing. Ultimately, kids are victims of abuse in this situation, so it isn't their fault if they're stupid, right? But again, so how do you explain that? How are second graders still as dumb they have a significant drop, right, in relation to the baseline 10 years ago when they were not in school during any of these supposed lockdowns that did not exist. There were stay-at-home quarantine orders. If you opened your front door, there weren't like military men like with machine guns ready to shoot you down. Therefore, it is not a lockdown, okay? Words have meanings. Language matters, okay? How do you explain that? Oh, wait, you can't. So, boom, the whole conspiracy is just fucking blown up, right? It's almost like the virus that's been well documented to destroy your brain, right, especially during development, has something to do with it, because how would a kindergartner or a first grader also have the same level of decline even though they were not even alive or in school during these so-called lockdowns, right? So explain that to me. Oh, wait, they're not going to do that because they're fucking stupid. Almost half, 47% of those in schools in deprived areas said they had seen a substantial increase in the gap between pupils. What is that? Like, a substantial increase in the gap between pupils. It's, again, the lockdowns 4 years ago. Like, can we explain the mechanism? The causal mechanism? Can you at least attempt to explain your theory? You know? Despite the near $5 billion of investment from the UK government to schools and colleges to support pupil education, just 5% of state school teachers agreed that the funding is effective. Like, okay, so you're just going to throw money at kids and say, all right, here's some money. Are you smart yet? Right? Like, when everyone in a position of power does not believe in germs and are teaching the kids that germs aren't real, throwing $100 bills around there, and, you know, that's not going to do anything, okay? Like, no wonder 5% of state school teachers agreed that the funding is effective, because, again, 90% of them don't believe in germs, and therefore they don't even understand what the fucking problem is. All right. Now, again, let's say you got a hole in your boat and your boat's fucking filling up with water. You're about to sink any minute now. Right. And also your paddle broke. Right. You have a paddle boat. Your paddle broke. I don't know what happened. It fucking broke. And you all decide, you huddle up as the boat is sinking and you decide, fuck, what are we going to do? This boat is sinking. Oh, I know. Let's put all of our energy and resources into fixing the paddle. So you put all your energy and resources, in this instance, money, funding, into fixing the paddle. So you fix the paddle, you start paddling, and guess what? You fucking sink and you all drown to death and die, right? And why is that? Because you spent the money, in this instance, time and energy and resources, mentally, fixing a problem that had nothing to do with the fact that this boat was sinking, right? So, I don't know, man. Think about that for a moment. These are teachers. These are supposed to be well-educated people. How is a high school dropout apparently more knowledgeable on the subject than the entire fucking teaching industry in the United Kingdom? I don't know. Maybe it's because I know how to read. It's possible. The poll by TeacherTap and commissioned by leading children's rights organizations. I love that. The children's rights organizations are also just right-wing fucking psyop campaigns that don't believe in germs, right? Oh, save the children. We're going to still give them a disease that fucks their brain up that we don't even know the consequences of 5 to 10 years from now. So we're going to fucking send them to these schools, these fucking virus factories, to make sure that they're fucking lobotomized before they even have a chance to fucking live their lives. But we're called Save the Children. So yeehaw, right? Just for Kids Law and Children's Rights Alliance for England suggests that the UK government should urgently increase its school recovery funding to support a generation of youngsters potentially beset with difficulties. What are they going to spend the money on? Are they going to increase the school day? I'm just curious. What the fuck? Because if you don't even acknowledge what the problem is, how the fuck is money going to help it, right? If kids in school are too brain fogged, right? They're too fatigued, they can't pay attention. How does extending the school day by an hour, or giving them lessons after school, which is the same thing, or making the school year longer by a week or two, how is that going to fix the problem of they can't fucking focus? I don't know, man. You just gonna fucking tap their head with the fucking goddamn stick or whatever, and get them to focus that way? Because that doesn't work either, So, if you don't acknowledge the motherfucking problem, how are you going to fix it? Oh, wait, they're not going to fix it, but they're all fucking stupid, and they're gonna teach an entire generation, germs aren't real, the earth is flat, right? Climate change, we don't really know what's going on, and lockdowns. Woo! Right? It's like some fucking voodoo magic ass shit. What the fuck are we talking about here? Okay. Dan Paskins, also known as a dumb motherfucker, said this: thousands of teachers are pointing to what we believe are deep problems in our classrooms post-pandemic. Again, the pandemic's still fucking going on. It's worse now, especially in the UK, because they're a lot denser of a population than we are in the United States. Right? It is the worst ever. Now, there's more transmission. The variants are more insidious. They're more slow creeping and destructing to the brain. There have been documentations of the new variants of COVID being able to infect your neurons in your brain. They can get into the neurons in your brain, replicate inside of your motherfucking brain, and take over your brain cells, okay? But no, it's the lockdowns 4 years ago. Motherfuck. For children's academic and social development, it is also clear teachers would welcome greater investment to help their pupils catch up. Now again, what are they investing in? Are they going to tell us what the fuck they're investing in? Just give us money is not a fucking solution here. What are you gonna get every kid like a fucking Rolex or something, and that's gonna fucking make them smarter? What? What is this? What is the funding for? Repairing the damage done by COVID-19 and school closures to children and young people will require long-term commitment by the UK government, as well as immediately investing in educational recovery funding, which the Education Policy Institute estimated to be $13.5 billion. Now again, what the fuck is any of this? Educational recovery funding? What does that mean? How do you recover education? Think about it. What are we talking about here? Educational recovery funding, also known as, which the Education Policy Institute estimated to be $13.5 billion. What is the Education Policy Institute, and what is the money being spent on? Like, are they going to describe that in this quote, or are they just going to say, lockdowns, we need more money? We urge the UK government to commit to increasing the level of funding per pupil every year during the next parliamentary term, as recommended by the Association of School and College Leaders. Now, again, what is the recommendation, and where is the money going? Almost 7,000 teachers responded to the survey conducted by TeacherTapp on March 5. All three charities that commissioned the poll are core participants in the COVID-19 inquiry and gave evidence as part of Module 2. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I have not followed this fucking COVID inquiry bullshit in the UK, but from my understanding, it's just like a bunch of people that don't believe in germs, flat earth conspiracy theorists, crying and whining about having to stay at home for a couple months. That's my understanding, okay? Now, I also don't know what Module 2 is. I'm an American, so just bear with me here. But I have no problem calling 90% of UK teachers fucking idiots. I have no problem with that. Which related to government decision-making throughout autumn 2023. Their report, What About the Children? Yeah, because these motherfuckers are the ones who are concerned, which featured in the Daily Telegraph, argued that the prolonged and unplanned closures of nurseries and schools disproportionately affected children in poverty. Now, again, is it possible, right, that there was an actual issue related to staying at home? Is it possible? Yes. How would you explain first and second graders having the same disruptions to their learning? You can't. So therefore, that is immediately disregarded as the main culprit. Now, is it possible that there is some knock-on effect, as y'all motherfuckers would say, in relation to school closures? Possibly. But they're not actually investigating that, because unless you actually divorce what's going on with the virus itself versus what's going on with our reaction to the virus, right? You have to acknowledge both realities and study both realities. If you just don't even believe that the virus is real, right? Then how would you be able to discern and disseminate the difference between what the virus is doing and what our actions have done? You can't. Therefore, this is a stupid fucking goddamn conversation. We would also agree that the educational attainment gap between disadvantaged students and their peers is growing as a result in gaps in knowledge resulting from the disruption in their education during the COVID-19 pandemic. You know, it's definitely not the virus destroying their ability to learn. Has nothing to do with it. Right? First graders, you know, they're suffering because someone else 5 years older than them couldn't go to school for a couple months 5 years ago. So that's why first graders are all fucking stupid, right? I can't with these dummies. As senior leaders in education, we firmly believe the greater investment to help schools and colleges. Now, again, they're just going to say the same thing fucking over and over again. We need investment. Where's our investment? We're not going to tell you what the money's going to go to, but we need investment. Please invest in us. Please invest in us. We don't believe in germs. We think the climate change isn't real. The earth is flat, but give us money to teach your kids. I can't with this, man. I mean, like, this fucking shit is fucking ridiculous. A significant 89, of the 6,431 teachers surveyed, the greatest impact of the pandemic that teachers reported seeing in the classroom were greater emotional and social issues. You know what else caused emotional and social issues that was well documented? Lead poisoning in the United States. We added lead to our gasoline and to our water supply. And we found out that when we unleaded gasoline and when we fixed lead in the water supply in certain areas, that social and emotional issues actually subsided. Turns out when you took lead out of the gasoline, there were less bar fights. Think about this. There were actually less bar fights documented when lead was taken out of gasoline. How do you explain that? Why? Well, because they stopped getting poisoned on a routine basis, right? And when your brain is getting poisoned in certain ways, it can lead to you getting irrationally angry. It can lead to you being unable to logically think things and letting emotions rule your behavior, right? So it almost turns out that brain damage can affect greater social and emotional development. And you know what else causes brain damage? COVID-19, right? So again, this is some made up garbage. Staying at home and learning on the computer does not cause brain damage. I'm sorry, it doesn't. I've watched I've listened to audiobooks that I've learned from. I've watched college lectures on the internet from like decades ago, over centuries. You know, I've watched like fucking college lectures that were filmed in the 1960s just to see what the fuck they were saying, right? I've read countless articles on certain subjects. I've read medical studies online, right? So you can learn from the internet. This idea that you need to be sitting in person with a fucking teacher who's dumb as shit in order to learn properly is fucking horsepucky, okay? I'm sorry, it's just not real. But let's keep going. 89% of teachers, including 93% of primary teachers, say they have seen this in their classroom. Okay, so they all acknowledge that there's a problem, and they're going to point to something that has nothing to do with it, right? So that's the problem here. More than because if they acknowledge that COVID-19 is a virus that actually is real, guess what? Then they have to look at their own behavior, right? They have to look at their own behavior. They have to be introspective. And it's easier to just say, the government's bad, man. The government gonna kill our kids. It's easier to say that than to acknowledge your own behavior in regards to the COVID-19 pandemic and acknowledge that you, in fact, actually are a culprit in why students are fucking stupid now. Because one, you don't even believe in germs, so how can you fucking teach them anything? Let's be honest. And then two, you're constantly giving them infections over and over that destroy the fucking shit in their brain. Also, you're destroying your own fucking motherfucking brain, so you're less capable of teaching kids in the fucking first place, right? But again, people, they don't actually want to analyze their own bad behavior, so they're just going to say, the government! More than 8 in 10 teachers said they have seen an increase in behavioral issues among other students. Again, well documented with the lead gasoline crisis in the United States, at least, that students in classrooms got less violent when lead was taken out of the gasoline. Crime in a lot of areas went down when lead was taken out of the water supply, right? So again, what does lead do? What does lead and COVID-19 have in common? They destroy the development of your brain. Now again, they make you fucking get fucked up if you're an adult and your brain is already developed, but when you're a kid, the damage is going to be exponentially multiplied because your brain is going to develop incorrectly, and that takes a lot more energy, research, time to correct. In some instances, it's not even correctable, right? But again, we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some lockdown that apparently magically can affect kindergartners, first graders, third graders, second graders, even though they weren't even in school. Somehow the lockdowns affected them too. There's no mechanism. They don't explain how. They don't explain why. They don't even acknowledge that that's real. By their own logic and metric, second graders should be even smarter than everyone else because of like the Flynn effect or whatever, right? But that's not the case, and we're just not going to talk about it. More than 8 in 10 said they have seen an increase in behavioral issues among students, with 87% of secondary teachers said that absenteeism has increased, a feeling shared by 62% of primary teachers. So, okay, there was a lockdown 4 years ago. What the fuck does that have to do with absenteeism? Right? So, you didn't go to school in person for like 6 months 4 years ago. And somehow that makes you like a fucking criminal truant? Right? What? What? Like, oh, it's almost like that there's a virus going around that fucks your shit up and makes it so you can't even get out of bed. It's almost like that. It's almost like that. Am I going to say it's like that? Yeah. But it's also... It is like that, and it's almost like that at the same fucking time, okay? Like, this fucking shit. Now, again, this is why I am joining, or have joined, or am in a leadership position, even, on the war on teachers. Fuck teachers. Fuck teachers. Now, again, are there some good teachers out there? Yeah, okay? I acknowledge it. It's not like police. All police are evil. I think that there are great teachers out there. I've never seen any. You know? I went to school for about a decade. I never saw any great teachers, you know? I saw some decent teachers, but I saw mostly horrendous teachers that didn't give a fuck about anything, right? So again, I don't give a shit. Fuck teachers. Fuck parents. All these motherfuckers are stupid. I'm sorry, man. Like, this whole thing is just fucking ridiculous. Let me keep going here. Honestly, let's just do an extended fucking fuck teacher segment. Ask if the UK government needs to invest in more post-COVID funding. Again, there is that. That's like saying we need to invest in our Mars colony. What Mars colony? It's not real. So how do we invest in it? Oh yeah, we need to invest on our spaceship that's going to go start a colony on Titan. Got to invest in that. I mean, that would theoretically be, that would actually be possible because you would invest in the journey. So let's say we got to invest in our already existing colony on the planet Titan, or I guess the moon Titan. How do you do that? There is no colony there. Therefore, what the fuck? Right? Like, I'm sorry. Words have meaning. Words actually have definitions, and those definitions matter in communication. I'm sorry. How can you have post-COVID funding when COVID is still here? You can't. Therefore, what the fuck are these people talking about? And again, what the fuck? Where's the money going? Where do they want it to go? They haven't even said that. Wouldn't you think like they would lead with, oh yeah, so we need, here are the problems with kids and here are our solutions and here's how much money we need for those solutions. No, they're just saying we need money. We need money. Head teachers were the most likely to agree, with 78% saying there needs to be more funding. For what? For what? Like, again, this is SaveTheChildren.org, motherfucker. What do you want the money for? Holy fuck, man. Like, this is their website. Okay. 75% of primary teachers agreeing compared to 68% of secondary teachers. Anne Longfield, former Children's Commissioner for England and chair for the Center of Young Lives, said teachers are seeing firsthand the long-term impact of school closures. Oh my fucking It is heartbreaking to read about the emotional and social problems that many young people are still struggling with, even 4 years on. Now, again, explain the frickin' first graders, man. Explain the second graders. Explain the shit you can. Like, I'm telling you. Fuck teachers. I'm sorry. I mean, fuck teachers. I really, just fuck teachers. I hate them. I hate teachers. I hate schools. I'm sorry. Go fuck yourself. If you're a great teacher, you know, again, honestly, I'm not saying you shouldn't be. I'm not trying to equivocate cops with teachers. There are good teachers. That is a fact, right? It is maybe 1 to 2% of teachers that are actually good. I'm sorry. That's just the fact of the matter, okay? 1 to 2% of teachers are actually decent, okay? That's just the fact of the matter. Is it possible to be a good teacher? Yes. Are teachers, for the most part, all fucking authoritarian tyrants that are fucking stupid, dumb motherfuckers and don't know what the fuck they're doing? Absolutely. I have no problem whatsoever saying 98% of teachers are trash. In this instance, we have a direct figure. 90% of UK teachers are fucking garbage. We have a direct, like, now we know the floor is 90%. The bare minimum percentage of teachers that are brain dead fucking idiots, 90%. I personally think 98% is a more likely scenario. But you know what? 90% of teachers, fucking morons. What are you going to do, right? I'm sure that has nothing to do with developmental delays in children. The fact that all their teachers are fucking stupid morons, I'm sure has nothing at all to do with the fact that kids are getting dumber and dumber and dumber over time. But hey, what else is in the news? This is in the news. Check this out. This is pretty cool. The CDC is at it again. Issues a health alert as 2024 measles cases match last year's total. So, now, I could be wrong. Right? I always like to start off my soliloquies with the qualifying statement of, I could be wrong. But 2024 is not over yet. Right? Right? We're only in March, motherfucker. So, if that is the case, if 2024 measles cases match last year's total, when we're like barely done, if like the first like fucking fifth of the year, doesn't that sound like there's an exponential increase of measles cases going on? It sounds like that. I mean, let's read for more information. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, has issued a health advisory in response to a rise in measles cases in the U.S. and abroad, with domestic infections this year already meeting the total seen in 2023. As of last week, the CDC has confirmed 58 measles cases across 17 states and cities this year. The agency noted in its advisory that the majority, 54 cases, have been linked to international travel. We need to ban international travel. I'm sorry, okay? We need to have one plane a month that goes from a country to another country. You either get on the plane or you don't. This entitlement of the American and at worldwide toddlers that they feel that they're so entitled to be able to fly around the world at any fucking moment at all, that there needs to be a plane, even if it's empty, flying around the world every fucking second of the day. This is fucking ludicrous, okay? I'm sorry, man. This is some crazy ass motherfucking shit, okay? If there were international travel like planes going on during the bubonic plague, you know what? Humanity wouldn't be here right now. We would all have killed ourselves. And you know what? It's looking like that's going to happen just a couple hundred years late. Quote, many countries, including travel destinations such as Austria, yeah, that's right, I want to go to Austria during a fucking pandemic. No offense to Austrians, I was just the first one on the list. The Philippines, Romania, and the United Kingdom are experiencing measles outbreaks. Isn't that great? To prevent measles infection and reduce the risk of community transmission from importation, all U.S. residents traveling internationally, regardless of destination, should be current on their MMR, measles, mumps, and rubella vaccines. Now, again, there have been situations, I'm not sure if this article is going to state it, where people who are vaccinated with their MMR vaccine have still gotten breakthrough infections. Now, the MMR vaccine compared to the COVID vaccine is significantly better. Significantly better. Okay? Yet, there are still people that have been vaccinated for measles getting measles. So, that's a problem. Is measles mutating? Maybe. Or is it there's so much measles in the air that they got such a giant viral load because it's fucking everywhere that, it's getting past their vaccination? We don't really know. Why? Because people in this country don't believe in germs anymore. Vaccination against measles is highly effective against infection with a full 2-dose schedule providing 97% effectiveness. But immunization rates have seen a slight decline in recent years, both due to the COVID-19 pandemic and anti-vaccine sentiment. Isn't that interesting? Measles is highly infectious, especially for unvaccinated populations. Symptoms of infections can include fever, cough, runny nose, and pink eye, as well as the characteristic rash. Measles spreads through the air and can linger on surfaces for up to 2 hours after an infected person has left a room. The virus can infect up to 9 out of 10 unvaccinated people exposed to it. The CDC advised early childhood education providers and healthcare providers to ensure that students are up to date with MMR vaccinations. The agency also emphasized that all U.S. residents 6 months or older with no evidence of immunity with plans to travel internationally should receive MMR vaccines before departures. Now, why does the CDC do health alerts? This is a classic case of cover your ass. Did you hear about this? No. Do you know anyone that has heard about this? No. These health advisories and alerts aren't being disseminated to the public at all. Like, what if we had like a fucking alert on our phone that was like, oh, tornado's coming? Oh, there's measles everywhere in your fucking city. Wouldn't that be cool, right? But they don't do that. Yet, they'll still do these health alerts that, unless you're looking for them or are in the field of public health in some capacity, which I guess I am now, right? Unless you're in that kind of space, you don't know about this. So is it really a health alert? No! It's a cover your ass expedition. They're putting this out there so that later on, when motherfuckers get fucked with measles, they can say, hey, we told you. We told you on March 19th. We told you. Oh, you didn't get the alert? Well, we told you. Like, I'm sorry, man. What the fuck? What the fuck? Now think about this. Motherfuckers are so goddamn stupid in this goddamn world that we live in, that we call Earth, that they are so adamant about killing themselves, their family members, their kids, their parents. They're so adamant that they have brought measles back from the dead. Like, this is some magic here. This is like some resurrection spells. What is this, fucking reanimation in Naruto or some fucking shit? You're bringing measles back? We haven't dealt with that fucking shit in so long, and you're bringing it back? You hate the idea of being healthy so much that you're bringing measles back from the dead. Holy motherfuck, okay? That is some crazy ass shit. Wow. I mean, Jesus. I hate this. I really do. I'm not going to lie to you. I fucking hate this. I hate this shit. I do. I really do. It drives me through the motherfucking roof, okay? It does. The fact that I have to endure living on a planet. I believe all human beings have the potential to achieve consciousness, okay? I do. But I'm going to be honest with you. And maybe this makes me sound like a psychopath. It's possible, right? But I don't think 80 to 90% of human beings are conscious. I really don't. I don't. They're automatons, right? Now, but I do think that they can achieve consciousness, right? Now, possibly I could use the term, they could become woke. They could wake up to what the fuck's going on around them. But if you are just going along to get along, you're getting COVID 15 times a year, right? You're spreading it to your kids and all that stuff. I find it hard to believe that there is genuine consciousness there. I'm not going to lie to you, okay? Now, again, I'm not saying that in like a fucking eugenicist way, like we got to get rid of these guys. I'm saying I need everyone to talk sense into these motherfuckers, okay? I really do. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? What the fuck are we doing here? Everyone is on autopilot. Someone told me it was the lockdowns, so I'm going to tell someone else it was the lockdowns, so I'm going to tell someone else it was the lockdowns. People don't think for them fucking selves. And if you don't think for yourself, are you really conscious? Or are you just a tape recorder? You hear things, you record it in your brain, and then you spew it out later without any sort of critical thought whatsoever. Right? You're just a fucking really interesting looking and advanced form of a tape recorder. Right? Isn't that what lockdowns caused two second graders, second year students were developmentally delayed by the lockdowns that happened before they entered the school. I am a free thinker. I am a critical thinker. I'm your teacher. Please send your kids to learn from me. Like, really? You expect me to believe that you are an actual conscious human being? I'm sorry. I disagree. And again, that may sound harsh. Am I being entirely serious? Actually, yes, but maybe I should just say no, just to cover my own ass a little bit here. But I really struggle. I struggle to accept that some of these motherfuckers are conscious human beings. I really do. I'm sorry. Like, if you on year 5 of an airborne fucking pandemic so bad that now it's going to bring back measles, right? If you are still going along to get along and you don't acknowledge that germs are real, I mean, again, sucker doesn't even begin to describe the fucking markiest mark in the whole goddamn world, right? You are getting scammed so badly that it's just embarrassing. It's embarrassing. But, you know, what are you going to do? Let's talk about some other stuff. This is some crazy ass shit that I saw. So we have these fucking guys. Former Mississippi cop called a mafia don of the Goon Squad that tortured 2 black men sentenced to more than 27 years in prison. Now, the Goon Squad, like, what the fuck? What? Why? Like, why would you call yourself that? Like, are you a fucking 13-year-old on Discord? Like, what? Brett McAlpin, who was the highest ranking officer on the scene when 6 former Mississippi law enforcement officers tortured 2 black men in January 2023, was sentenced to more than 27 years in prison on Thursday. Now, I hear that there's some guy who's the Don of the Goon Squad who's torturing black people in Mississippi, and I'm thinking, is everyone else getting arrested too, or is it just this guy? Like, is it just this guy? Like, what about all the other fucking soldiers of his little mafia group? Federal prosecutors described the former deputy with the Rankin County Sheriff's Office as the one calling the shots and as a mafia don. Among the 6 rogue cops who tortured citizens, acts associated with another time in the state of Mississippi. Acts associated with another time. Certainly, black men don't get tortured now, right? That's just, it's another time. It was a different world back then when we would fucking just torture the shit out of black people just because of their skin color. It's January 2023. That was another time. That was another time. That has nothing to do with the present, that's for sure. What? Oh my God. McAlpin pleaded guilty in August to federal charges of conspiracy against rights, deprivation of rights under color of law, conspiracy to obstruct justice, and blah, blah, blah. McAlpin also pleaded guilty in August to state charges of a conspiracy to commit obstruction of justice and first-degree obstruction of justice. Not murder, not torture, but obstruction of justice. Isn't that great? The men were part of a squad of white Mississippi law enforcement officers who raided a home in Braxton in January 23 without a warrant, subjected the two black men, Eddie Parker and Jenkins, to racist vitriol, used tasers on them after they had already been handcuffed, beat them with various objects, and shot Jenkins in the mouth. But that's another time. January 2023, that was a long time ago. Wow, I mean, my grandpa wasn't even born yet in January 2023. That was a long time ago. Like, I'm sorry, I gotta scroll up, man. I gotta reread this. There's no way that this said what it said. Okay, federal prosecutors described the former deputy with the Rankin County Sheriff's Office as the one calling shots and as a mafia don. Among the 6 rogue cops who tortured citizen, M- acts associated with another time in the state. Eddie Parker and Michael Jenkins, I want you to know I'm sorry for what you went through. Jesus fuck. Oh. I can't even read the rest of that. I mean, like, the idea that this motherfucker put out a hit on you, got caught, and then was like, I'm so sorry. I got 3 boys of my own. I can't imagine what you're going through. Yeah, I ordered the hit on you. I told my guys to do it. But I'm so sorry. Like, what? What? I mean, like, in the literal, like, this is the most obvious case of sorry you got caught I've ever fucking seen in my goddamn motherfucking life. Speaking of sorry he got caught. Now, this one's fun. Kyle Rittenhouse storms off of stage after being confronted by students. Kyle Rittenhouse. Interesting. Kyle Rittenhouse abruptly departed the stage during an appearance at the University of Memphis on Wednesday after he was confronted about comments made by Turning Point USA founder and president Charlie Kirk. For those of you that don't know, apparently Kyle Rittenhouse is like doing Turning Point USA stuff. So he's literally like, Charlie Kirk is his literal boss, right? Rittenhouse was invited by the college's Turning Point USA chapter to speak at the campus. However, the event was met with backlash from a number of students who objected to Rittenhouse's presence. The 21-year-old gained notoriety in August 2020 when, at the age of 17, he shot and killed 2 men, Joseph Rosenbaum, 36, and Anthony Huber, 26, as well as injuring 26-year-old Gage Grosskreutz at a protest in Kenosha, Wisconsin. He said the 3 shootings carried out with a semi-automatic AR-15 style firearm were in self-defense. Obviously not true. I'm sorry. You know, we can talk about whether or not he is legally culpable for this. The law is not like a moral standard, right? The law is designed to defend exactly the kind of people that Kyle Rittenhouse are. So the law is irrelevant to me. It was not self-defense. If you break into someone's house and they threaten you and then you shoot and kill them, that is not self-defense. I'm sorry. That's just how I perceive the world around me, okay? So feel free to disagree with me on that one, but hey, whatever. Rittenhouse was acquitted, blah, blah, blah. In video footage shared on X, formerly known as Twitter. I'm sorry, it's not formerly known as Twitter, it's currently known as Twitter. Rittenhouse was shown standing on stage at the blah, blah, blah. I mean, let's just watch the video. I mean, we don't need to do any of this fucking horse shit, okay? Let me just set this bowl up. So the audio here, I'm not going to lie to you, is not that good. So let's just skip ahead a little bit. Oh, shout outs to X, formerly known as Twitter. You ever get this? Has that ever happened to someone? You're just like, you're trying to go through a video and then it's just like, nah, the video ceased to exist apparently. All right, let's try again.
No question, Kyle.
After all the things I just told you, would you consider that hate speech?
So this person is asking about some comment Charlie Kirk made. I'm going to be honest, I don't fucking know what's going on here. But Charlie Kirk, known racist, KKK affiliate, is saying some racist ass shit, and he's asking Kyle Rittenhouse, how do you feel about this racist ass shit, okay?
I'm not going to comment on that.
Now, if you can hear this, he says, I'm not going to comment on that. Now, the person holding the camera is about to start screaming, so I'm going to turn the volume down, but... So he gets asked an uncomfortable question, and then his handler, because again, the handler knows Kyle can't deal with this shit. Kyle's a little piss baby. He's going to turn into silly putty on the floor and melt, right? So then his handler comes out and just walks him out. So now again, I'm not going to lie to you. These college students, they don't believe in germs. They're not wearing a mask in an indoor space during the height of the airborne pandemic known as COVID. Also, there's a measles outbreak in Memphis too. So they're all fucking stupid. I'm going to be honest with you. All these college kids, stupid motherfuckers. That said, if you're asking me who is dumber, Kyle Rittenhouse or a college kid who doesn't believe in germs, I'm going to choose Kyle Rittenhouse every day of the week. So let's watch this guy again run away off stage like a little piss baby. So there you go. And there you go. That's Kyle Rittenhouse running away like a little fucking baby. I guess, is this a long show? How long have I been going? An hour. Holy shit, I guess it's not that long. But I'm doing my thing where I fucking speak really fast because I'm like, I just woke up and I'm drinking coffee. So really, this is like a 90-minute show. Really, it's just, I'm speaking at 1.5x. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. But I got one more thing I want to talk about. So, this is the moment of the show where I sit here and think about how to start the next moment. So anyway, we're going to be talking about Gaza here. And for those of you that don't know, there is some crazy ass motherfucking shit going on in regards to Israel and their genocidal campaign, not even just against Gaza, but they're bombing Lebanon. They're threatening to invade Egypt, right? There's some crazy ass motherfucking shit going on with Israel, the modern day neo-Nazi state of Israel, Nazi Israel as I would like to call it. And the press secretary for the Nazi affiliate, at the very least, Nazi affiliate state of the United States, I would go as far as to say it's a Nazi state, but hey, whatever, Nazi affiliate state of the United States. The press secretary for this administration was talking about Gaza and talking about the response of Americans to Gaza. What is this, like, fucking translucent horseshit? Look at this. What the fuck? Can you even see it? It's not even visible on the screen. Look at this. What the fuck are they doing to this website? They massacred my boy. But let's see. I want you to understand, right? Like, this person believes nothing. Now, again, what I was saying earlier, I don't believe that most human beings are conscious. I don't. Bitches like this are on, like, a multi-year-long autopilot. Have you ever been on, like, a fucking bender? You know, you ever, like, it's the weekend, you're gonna get, like, fucking a 20-pack of fucking Mike's Hard or whatever the fuck, and you're just gonna live it up. You ever have that experience, right? Going on a bender, you wake up, and it's like, oh, shit, it's Monday, I feel like shit, now I gotta go to work, I'm back in the world, right? What happened to the last 3 days, right? That's this bitch, right? But for several years of her life. She is not a conscious human being. She is just going on a bender, right? She's getting paid to say a bunch of disgusting ass neo-Nazi garbage, and she's going to wake up at the end of it and go, and then she's going to count her fat fucking stacks and not remember any of this. So with all that in mind, let's watch this fucking ass garbage.
The majority of Palestinian American, Arab American, and Muslim organizations that the White House reached out to for a meeting.
Notice, by the way, like, she doesn't even look at the reporters asking questions. Like, I just want to say, like, this is a term that is in some way steeped in misogyny, but I'm going to use it anyway. Resting bitch face. I mean, can you imagine a better example of resting bitch motherfuck face than this bitch ass motherfuck? Okay? Think about it. Think about it. Resting bitch face is like level 1, and she is like level 37 right now in regards to that kind of stuff. Like, I mean, Jesus motherfucker.
Majority of Palestinian American, Arab American, and Muslim organizations that the White House reached out to for a meeting this week rejected the invitation. So what is the White House strategy on this, and are there plans for the president to directly engage with these communities?
So, look, the president, as you know, has had an opportunity to meet with members of that community not too long ago, leaders of that community, the Arab American community.
Yeah, we know that. The fucking reporter just fucking said that. But of course, she's reading the pre-printed stuff, right? Like, she's not answering a question in the regards of, like, she knows the talking points and she's constructing an answer in her own words based on the question given. The reporter's like, yeah, how do you feel about the fact that Biden is not being welcomed by Arab Americans? And then she's like, look, Biden had the opportunity to be welcomed by Arab Americans. Like, we already know that. Like, we already fucking know that. Can you fucking skip the robot shit, bitch?
Muslim American community not too long ago. And so, look, what I will say is we understand that this is a difficult time, that this is a painful time. We understand that the events of October 7th that killed more than 1,200 souls, right? Took more than 1,200 souls in Israel, and also took Hamas, the terrorist organization, also, as we know, took hostage more than 200 people. And what that led to, that war that led to, is incredibly painful. We understand.
Now, first of all, not a war. Okay? Not a war. Okay? It's just full stop, not a war. Second of all, this fucking... I mean, I'm just going to say it. This whore, right? She is taking money, right, to sell her soul for the sake of genocide, right? So this whore, now maybe I'll get banned for saying that. We'll see. Is saying, we know Arab Americans are suffering because of the 1,200 Israelis that were... Now, most of them aren't actually Israeli citizens. They're military members. It was like a skirmish with the IDF, right? So half of those guys, not even human beings. They're Nazis, okay? So, now again, is it bad that a bunch of civilians died? Yes, 100%. But let's be honest here, most of the 1,200 were just Nazis, okay? And I have no problem with Nazis being gunned down. I'm just going to be honest with you. You sign up to join the Nazi party, guess what? I don't care how many of you die in combat. I'm just being honest with you. The idea that she would fucking, like, and that anyone would write this down for her to read off, and that she would be willing to read off. We know Arab Americans are upset because Israelis were killed. I mean, I'm just like, wow, holy Macintosh.
Understand that. And so, look, we're going to continue to, as you know, the president, senior officials from...
Look, we're going to continue, as you know. Was that written? Was that written down in the fucking, the pamphlet that she's reading off of? As you know, did they write that down? I'm just curious. I would love to see.
From the White House met with members of those communities in Illinois just yesterday, and we're going to continue to have those regular meetings to hear directly from them, and the president believes that's important to do, to hear it from those voices.
So, question: what the fuck is Biden going to do about this very obvious issue? Answer: nothing. What the fuck? I mean, and this is indicative of the fact that we, as a society, as a civilization, as a species, are fucked. And this also, again, as I was saying earlier, are most human beings conscious? Because if they really were, if every human being had the same level of consciousness as each other, would we even have any of these governments in the first place? Would people like Joe Biden have any power? Would people like Netanyahu have power? Would people like Putin have power? Like, no, they wouldn't. If all human beings were truly conscious and aware of their surroundings and able to critically analyze the world around them, I really do not think we would see this situation. But most Americans, right, and this goes back to teachers. I'm going to give you one of my favorite conspiracies, The goal of the education system is to break down your natural curiosity of the world, and natural curiosity of the world is the direct progenitor to consciousness, okay? The entire purpose of school is to break that down, to make you an automaton, to make you a good little soldier of capital. That's why they constantly ask you, even when you're in second grade, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it has to be some job. I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a firefighter. Right? You're fucking asking fucking 7-year-olds to plan the rest of their lives and constraining that plan to a job. Right? Think about that. What are you going to do with the rest of your life, and how's it going to make money? That's implanted in you from a young age. Right? So the entire purpose of the school system is to create citizens that are fucking stupid, that don't fucking care, and just go along to get along about everything. And that's how we walked into a fucking genocide. That's how we walked into the genocide of the elderly and the sick and the disabled with COVID-19, right? Millions of disabled people have been wiped off the fucking face of the entire earth because of the genocide, the purposeful genocide of disabled people, elderly people, right? Do you have a problem calling what Europeans did to indigenous people in the Americas as genocide? I consider that genocide. What was the main function of genocide in the 14 and 1500s along the eastern seaboard of the now United States? What was it? Oh, disease! Europeans brought novel viruses that they had some level of immunity to a population that did not, and they all fucking died. Not all of them, but a significant portion of indigenous people in the Americas died from disease. Is that not genocide? Because they didn't go in there and shoot them in the face, right? When a fucking general was like, oh, let's just give them a bunch of our blankets that we fucking covered in germs or whatever, even before the germ theory of disease was acknowledged or known about. They somehow knew that would actually kill these motherfuckers, okay? So the idea that because it's a virus, it can't be genocide. I'm sorry, go fuck yourself. You're fucking stupid. You are dumb as fuck, right? So with the COVID-19 genocide of the elderly, the sick, the disabled, and the kids who are no longer going to be able to live lives that we... What do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a firefighter. I want to be a spaceman. Well, you're not going to be able to do that anymore, little Timmy, because we fucking shot a fucking your brain full of COVID, and now there's holes in your brain like we fucking got a machine gun to that shit, okay? Right? So everyone was fine with that. Everyone was fine with the COVID genocide. That's still going on, by the way. So no shit, everyone's going to be fine with the Gaza genocide. Motherfucker. Your grandma was murdered by the United States government when it comes to COVID-19. Your children were murdered by the United States government when it comes to COVID-19, and you did nothing. You did nothing. So what makes people think Americans will do something about motherfuckers halfway across the world? I'm sorry, that's just the fact of the matter. Americans do not fucking care. They do not fucking care, okay? The only way you can see polls that say like 50% of Americans don't want the U.S. to support the genocide in Gaza is because they are so fucking stupid that they think that tax dollars, that they are giving the United States government tax dollars, and that they don't want their tax dollars to go to war, but instead they want their tax dollars to go to like fixing potholes. That's why most Americans say that they don't support the war in Gaza. It has nothing to do with the morality of it. How the fuck do you have states they're having primaries where only 15% are voting uncommitted? That's not a movement. 15% of the Democratic voters, right? And how many Democratic voters are even voting? So what is 100%? Like of votes out of eligible voters, right? I haven't looked at all of those numbers state by state, right? But I guarantee you it's not close to 100% of eligible voters. So it's like 15% of 50% of, like, you know, that's nothing. I'm sorry. Americans, by and large, do not fucking give a fuck about anything other than whatever's on TV and whatever fucking drama that they're involved in their own little worlds, okay? That's all Americans give a fuck about because they're a bunch of whiny little uppity little fucking bitches, okay? And then you have corporate fucking whores that take advantage of that, raking in mad fucking cash to say crazy ass shit. Like, we know Arab Americans are upset about 1,200 Israelis dying on October 7th. I guarantee you not a single Arab American gives a fuck about about any of that horse fucking shit, especially when half of them were just Nazi soldiers, right? So I'm just gonna be honest with you, man. Just living in this world causes brain damage. Like, regardless of just like, you know, getting a virus that destroys your brain, regardless of breathing in lead that destroys your brain, just living in this world and being around people like this destroys your fucking brain. Like, oh my God, you're telling me I have to live the rest of my life on this planet in this timeline? Woo! Nelly! Oh man, I am not ready for that fucking horse shit. By the way, fun fact, did you know that millions and millions of tons of ice are melting every single day in the goddamn motherfucking Arctic? Did you know that we have already far exceeded all motherfucking predictions in regards to climate change, and it's actually happening at a far accelerated pace than even the most, like, fearful scientists, like the most, like, kind of like, we need to get our shit together estimates, the least conservative estimates, are still going like, whoa, holy fuck, because of El Nino last year, just fucking added like a 20x multiplier on climate change, right? So we are fucked. There's multiple genocides happening all over the world, right? No one gives a fuck. And climate change is going to make it... Did you experience winter last year? Chances are, if you live most places in the United States, you didn't even have a winter. But everything's fine. Go to work. You got to go to work. You got to get money. You got to pay your landlord. Yeah! You got to have kids. You got to procreate. Because you can't have meaning in your life without having kids. Yeah, that's right. That's the only way you can have meaning in your life, is to procreate and continue the cycle of abuse to the next generation. Imagine. Now, I'm sorry. I personally consider myself to be an antinatalist in the sense that I think having children without doing anything about the world that you're bringing them into is morally reprehensible. I'm being honest with you. I know that there's parents in my audience, right? And you know what? I'll give you the get out of jail free card now more than ever. If you had a kid 20 years ago, 30 years ago, honestly, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm 27. I wasn't even around that time. But I can read history books and understand, probably not a good idea to have a kid then either. But hey, whatever, okay? Information was less disseminated. So if you're a parent and your kid's like 35, you know what? I'm letting you off the hook this time, okay, buddy? Maybe not next time, but this time you're off the hook. Hell, if your kid's fucking 15, 20 or whatever, and, you had that kid 15 to 20 years ago, even then, maybe that's not necessarily morally reprehensible. But if you have had a child at any point in the last 4 years, I'm sorry, I personally think you're a bad person. I think you're morally a bad person. Now, again, get out of jail free cards for all the people that live in those states where abortion's illegal and they were raped by someone and they were forced to have a kid. I'm not talking about that motherfucking shit. I know leftists, by and large, they love to like hyper fucking individualize some obscure case and then say you are evil because you didn't count. So I'm just saying, uno reverse, go fuck yourself with that shit. For most people, I personally believe having children is morally reprehensible. Okay, I do. In the current world, if you are bringing a child into the world, now if you bring a child into the world, in a zero-sum sense, the amount of resources and energy you're going to have is going to be directed to that kid, and not again, in a zero-sum sense, going to be directed at solving the problems in the world, right? Now, again, am I saying every person has a moral obligation to become a superhero for the planet? Honestly, yeah, I am saying that, right? So, and we should all be striving toward that. But to bring a child into a world that you know is horrible is narcissistic. Full stop. You want to have a kid because you're a fucking sex fetishist, fucking freak, lunatic, fetishist, and you want to bring a child into your world because you want to role play what you were exposed to as a child. You want to be the big daddy or the big mommy, and you want to have, like, I'm serious. It's a kink. It's a fetish. Having kids in a world that is objectively falling to shit is a fetish. It's fucking disgusting. It's evil. It's reprehensible, okay? I'm sorry. That's my opinion. If you had a child in the last 4 years, I'm sorry. Narcissism. Alert. 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 What the fuck are you thinking? How about, I don't know, get a dog or some fucking shit? I'm sorry, but just bringing new humans into this world with all the things we know about it, is morally reprehensible, okay? Now, again, if anyone wants to fucking, well, that's the whole point of being a human being. Really? You think the whole point of being a human being is succumbing to our biology? Again, is that really consciousness? Right? Think about it. Is that really true human consciousness to the maximum potential of the human being? I must fuck. I must have kids. I must keep the species going. I'm a free thinker. Really? Really? I'm sorry. Like, really? You're a free thinker? I'm sorry. And maybe I'm being too mean. Maybe I shouldn't do that voice. I'm sorry. Is that voice unacceptable nowadays? Maybe it is. I'm not sure. I haven't kept up with that. But guess what? I'm sorry, man. Having kids in this fucking hellhole, Jesus, fuck mother. And again, I'm just going to be honest with you. Again, teachers, fuck them. 90% of teachers, bare minimum. That's the floor. That's the absolute minimum. I personally would go to 95, 98%. Garbage, trash. Parents, for the most part, garbage. I'm sorry. Like, and again, I personally view the default as evil. The default is evil, okay? If you are going along to get along, you are by de facto a terrible motherfucking person. I'm sorry, that's just the case, right? If you you need to at least understand the world around you, and at the very fucking least, inform people of the world around them so that they can accurately understand the danger that we're all in. That's the bare minimum. You need to organize people. You need to educate people. You need to make sure people are ready and aware of the future. If you're having kids right now and you're not teaching them, hey, by the way, when you're 40, when you're my age, little Timmy, we're not going to have water. So I'm going to teach you how to create a desalination fucking machine out of like some fucking sticks and some things you might find in the wilderness. Because when you're my age, we're not going to have water. Oh, are you not teaching your kids how to desalinate salt water so that they can survive in the post-apocalypse climate fucking hellhole? Oh, so then why did you have kids? So that you could role play as a parent, acting out the drama that you were indoctrinated in as a young child, because as a young child, you learned that the world is all about having parents and role playing and having a weird sex fetish about having a kid that you can act out all your tyranny on, and you want to procreate so that you can play a new role, play the same drama, the same play, the same script, but this time you're playing the dad or the mom or whatever instead of the little Timmy, right? And if you're not teaching your kid how to survive in this world, I'm sorry, morally reprehensible. It's just that easy, okay? So maybe I've offended people in my audience. That's possible. I don't know. I'm going to be honest, I don't really care. So, but anyway, that's my show. It was a little bit crazy. It's because I didn't do a show last week, so I've been holding this in. I've been holding it all in. So I'm like constipated. But in the political sense. God damn, I'm a little sweaty. I'm not going to lie to you. Wow. I need to take a shower. Like, holy fuck. I got sweat coming out of my pits. Let's just get a smell test.